Hello, and Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first edition of Monroeville at Your Service 2025. I'm your Municipal Manager, Alex Graziani, joined in studio today by a special guest, none other than Mayor Dr. Nick Gresock. Mayor, welcome.
Thanks, Alex. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. I'm so excited about doing this. I've been wanting to do it kind of from day one, but we were working through some staff, and finally we got a chance to sync with your schedule and start the new year off strong by having our own mayor here. So thank you for being here.
Oh, happy to be here. This is great.
So, we just literally met each other in 2023, and I think from day one, I could see in you a lot of care and a lot of passion for this community. Of course, we were meeting under the situation of me interviewing to get a job here, but I recognized right away, here's a guy who cares a lot about Monroeville. But I learned since that time that you're not originally from Monroeville. So let's start with the story. How did you get to be in Monroeville? And then eventually let's work our way up to how you got to be mayor of Monroeville.
All right, well, thanks. Well, I appreciate the kind words. But yeah, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania person. I grew up in Punxsutawney, an hour and a half from Monroeville. And certainly I was, came down to Monroeville a lot, came down to Pittsburgh a lot as a kid, certainly went to the Monroeville Mall growing up. So I knew where Monroeville was and what Monroeville was about. Like many people, I just knew of Monroeville as 22, Miracle Mile, the mall, and in my mind, that's what Monroeville was. Whereas it's way more than that. We have 20 square miles here. There's a lot of things beyond Route 22. But I grew up in Punxsutawney and went to Pitt for undergraduate and went to chiropractic school in upstate New York Chiropractic College. And going through that, I knew I wanted to come back to the Pittsburgh area. Monroeville wasn't on my radar, but I definitely wanted to be back in the Pittsburgh area. And going through school, I ended up meeting my now wife, Tara, and that's how we ended up in Monroeville, because as I was finishing up school and we were looking to move to the Pittsburgh area, she came to me and she said that there's a job opportunity in Monroeville. Have you ever heard of Monroeville? And I basically told her what I told you. Oh yeah, I've been to the mall and I've been to the movies there. Only to find out, actually, I was going to the movies in Wilkins Township. In my mind, I thought that was Monroeville Showcase Cinemas. So at any rate, she answered a job posting for Monroeville in the Recreation Department. And I said, well, I know where that is. And this is even really before, cell phones were very popular. So I got on the computer and had to MapQuest where the actual municipal building was. And I drove her here, and it's kind of funny because I remember sitting out in the car in this parking lot and waiting for her as she interviewed. And she ended up getting the job. And she actually even started here even before I moved back down to this area. I was still finishing up some schooling, some rotations up in New York while she was already working down here. I started my practice in Monroeville as a chiropractor. I guess it would have been probably maybe 10 years went by. And someone approached me. At that point, it really wasn't something I was really put too much thought into, but I was approached and I was like, well, maybe it's something I'd look into. And I was certainly aware how, municipal government was working at the time with Tara being involved. And so that's where I decided to, put my hat in the ring and ran for council and was able to get that council seat and was reelected in that same seat. Our former mayor was finishing up on his terms for mayor, and that seat was available. And at the time, I was also serving as the deputy mayor, and it just seemed like that was the right time to move on to the mayor's chair, and it worked out for me.
So I want to come back to the terms and the service, but you kind of went over it quickly. As a chiropractor, you have the unique opportunity, or you took advantage of the opportunity that you had to not only be a clinician, a practitioner of the medical services, but you're also an entrepreneur and a small business owner. So you're kind of doing it all, so to speak. And I admire that because I look in Monroeville, and yeah, we have our national chains, and we have a lot of big companies or big corporations, but it's really, Monroeville's made up of so many, I don't want to exaggerate, but hundreds, maybe 1,000 small business owners who, whether they're accountants or chiropractors or run other kinds of services, that's really what is special about Monroeville. There's so many of them involved, and you got involved in the community as an entrepreneur. What was that like? I mean, did they teach you that in chiropractor school? Like, here's how to run a small business, or did you just gotta kind of learn it as you go?
Yeah, not as much education as I think what was warranted, but yeah, you kind of just learn as you go, and also too, I mean, no matter what community you're starting any business in, every town's different, every community is different, whether it's in Pennsylvania or a different state. So you really have to just kind of dig in and go to the governing body of who controls all of that, and then hopefully the staff in that area are helpful and can walk you through everything, because there's always someone that can help you. We're really a big advocate of asking questions and trying to find the right person, have the right answers, and then that's actually at the time the staff of Monroeville helped me get through that. I certainly didn't know them as a council person or as a mayor, but just hey, this is what I want to do. How do I do it, or what do I have to do? And there's a checklist you have to work your way through.
As an entrepreneur, you have a set of skill sets or services or offerings that you think can be beneficial within the marketplace. But meanwhile, you got to figure out the regulatory environments. And for you as a doctor, you had not only the clinical or the state medical board stuff to concern yourself and figure that out, but also the local regulatory environment. And I know we tried to do that here. We try to create a business-friendly service here at the local government level. Trusting you all know how to make a profit and make the books to balance, we'll help you get into the facility, whether that's the inspection process or whatever it does. But I like the fact that I'm working for mayor, and it isn't just true with you. There's other gentlemen who are elected in this community who are also business owners or have some entrepreneurial experience who've kind of lived somewhat of the situation. But I appreciate working for you because you kind of know what the folks we're trying to serve have to live in day out. Right. Be profitable within this business community, but also navigate the regulatory environments both at a state level or in our case at the municipal level. So I appreciate that because I think that gives you a different insight than maybe some of us do who work in local government. We may not have all of that background that you have. So I appreciate what you bring to the table. And I can see it when you're trying to work through decisions that affect the people. Now let's talk about those decisions. You get on to as a council member, how many terms did you serve?
Well, it was 2 terms, but I left my second term halfway through to run for the mayor's seat.
So when you were thinking about being on council or taking up the call to service, was it something you kind of knew what you wanted to do, or were you kind of the person who kind of wanted to see what was going on and then feel your way through and then kind of get to what you wanted to impact?
It's usually the latter, and I think even anybody that comes in, it definitely takes time to. I mean, Monroeville, it's a large community.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts, so there's a lot for someone that's getting involved to understand and what's what, and that really takes time. I mean, for say, in my opinion, like new council members, it's almost close to like a 2-year time frame where you really feel comfortable of knowing what is what, and. So to say that you're going to come in and do this, and this, I think that's difficult to do. You really almost have to, okay, where are things at currently? How do things currently operate? Because also too, we have a lot of, history here. We have a lot of, we'll call it institutional knowledge. So sometimes you might have a great idea, only to find out, well, someone else tried that great idea.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a great idea for certain reasons that maybe you didn't even think of. So I think what I did was I just kind of sat back and tried to kind of take everything and to kind of understand things and to move from there.
Thinking back on the time as a council member, what were some of the things you were glad that you were involved in or proud of to have accomplished?
Well, I mean, throughout the whole, and this is even true to even our last budget, I mean, one of the things I've always been firm on is the services that we provide here in Monroeville, and always supporting those services and trying to find a way to deliver those services to residents and to maintain them, because there's always calls to reduce something or to cut something, and I think it's pretty short-sighted. Yes, you can save some money that way, and we certainly want to save money to the best of our ability, but you start cutting things, you start outsourcing things, and you never get them back, and they often cost just as much, if not more, without the control that maybe you have at a local level. And I always look at, Monroeville, at least Monroeville government, our job is to provide like a foundation for organizations and businesses and residents to come here. People think we have control over everything, or that we can bring a certain store, or we can bring a certain restaurant, or we can build this, and it really doesn't work that way. But if we can, what we definitely can do is provide that foundation, so then businesses want to locate here, restaurants do want to locate, residents want to come here, and I think that's the most important thing to kind of maintaining our level of service throughout the whole time.
And you talked about experiences and getting the understanding of what you're doing through a couple of years. I think in municipal management, having served my first full year, it does take a lot to learn what's going on around here. But I think when I look back at the past year, you were well positioned, because around this time last year, we started to get news that the convention center was closing. And that certainly, over your term as mayor, was one of the biggest challenges that this municipality faced. What were you thinking when you first heard that the convention center was going to cease?
Well, when I first heard the news from Sean Logan, he's the president and CEO of the Convention Visitors Bureau, he gave me a call. It was a weekday morning, and it just really, I had to take a pretty good pause and then start asking the questions of, okay, how did it get to this point, and then what do we do next? And it really was a big task for the entire community, for everyone involved, for Monroeville, for your office, for staff, for the council members, for the Convention Visitors Bureau, because it's has such a positive economic impact, not only on Monroeville, but on the region. And now we get back to talking about all the other businesses and restaurants, and even a step further, even the people that live in Monroeville. It's a quality of life center where, okay, yeah, people get to go to shows that interest them, and it's a fun day out for a lot of people. There's also people, small businesses, that rely on that to showcase their products or showcase their businesses at the conventions. So the ripple effect, the economic impact of that center is unbelievable. From everything I described to hotel stays, it really drives so much in Monroeville, and it would have been devastating for that to leave the community.
You were key in helping, particularly the statewide officials, sense that. I think in a commonwealth as large as Pennsylvania, it would be easy to lose track of what is significant regionally or locally because of that statewide look. But you were really critical in helping to understand the multiplier. But once they were hearing it from you and people like Sean, they quickly rallied around, oh, we get it, this matters, and we need to save it. But of course, there was not as simple as, now we get it, let's save it. There were some steps involved, which I appreciated watching you and others kind of like navigate through those steps. What I most appreciated was how you did it in a way that was all about pro-business, pro-Monroeville. We weren't looking whether it was another entity who was leasing the convention center, taking them down or tearing them down. We welcome anyone who wants to come and do business in Monroeville. It's a privilege for them to come to us. But you were very positive in that, in navigating something that others may have found to be easy to be negative. So talk a little bit about, like, once we got people excited that it was worth saving, now we had to figure out how to do that. And then include, where did it come with the idea that we would be buying it?
Well, I mean, overall, I think it was an easy decision. Now, a lot of difficult steps along the way to make it happen, but with any decision that the council makes or any community makes, there's always going to be people that are for it and against it. It's hard to keep everyone happy, truthfully. This was definitely a case where I think most people, from a residence and a business community standpoint, the overwhelming majority really supported it. So it's easy whenever you have the support of the community behind you, that you're not trying to navigate, the pros and cons of it. There's, you had a lot of support from the community, and then certainly council recognized the importance of it as well, along with all of our friends in our local state leaders, our county leaders. So there was a lot of people on board, pushing in the same direction, which was really helpful. I was just part of the team, as you were as well. I mean, there's a lot of people working on this, to get this done. But we were just kind of going through all the motions of it, all the options, and we had a lot of talks with Oxford regarding the matter, and and Hobby Lobby already had a lease signed, so we were in contact with them as well. And the first step was getting that lease or that direction to stop or change. And Hobby Lobby was gracious enough to break their lease, because I don't know if they were really understood what the convention center meant for Monroeville and for the community. I really don't. So they were like, yeah, we'll get out of this lease, and they were able to do that. And then the next step was, okay, well, where do you go from here? And we had a couple different options on the table, and then ultimately what we landed on as a group was to purchase the building. But we also didn't want to make it another municipal department. We don't want to make it another building that we had to take care of. So we came up with the idea of purchasing the building and being more of the mortgage holder or the banker, so to speak, and have the Convention Visitors Bureau operate it, oversee it, and they would use their third party, that's how it's always operated actually, to run the shows. We wanted to kind of keep it as seamless as possible. We don't want to make big changes because we had a fear of maybe the show promoters not wanting to come back to the center. We wanted to really keep it just like it's always been. So essentially, we ended up just replacing Oxford as the owner.
Yeah, almost 100% of the shows that were canceled with the initial closing announcement were signed back up, which was a testament to how much they felt that the Monroeville Convention Center made sense, but also to other options within the market. In other words, it wasn't just simple for some of those shows to find another alternative location nearby that made financial sense. So that was good for us to know. So moving forward, we were, I think you're right, able to, using Prospera, who was the entity managing day-to-day the hotel when it was the hotel, and then eventually in the convention center, we have them now servicing us with the convention center through Visit Monroeville. And like you said, it's sort of a arm's length plus distance between us and them. But circling back to the purchase, what amazed me was, particularly coming from the outside, was the sound financial stewardship that Monroeville had put itself in. One of the things you need to know in local government is the concept of fund balance. And that basically is how much money's in the bank when all the bills are paid. And particularly at the end of any year, how much money's left in the bank after the budget's done. And what this community had done through stewardship of the money was have a fund balance that was safe and secure for big emergencies or break in case of emergency needs, if you think of a piggy bank. And we were able to move that without incurring debt, and we're able to get that money together to buy from Oxford the convention center, which again was a testament to financial stewardship. Now going forward, we believe it will be successful, and as we look at options to develop, market, improve it, it will continue to be successful. And the hope is that eventually the taxpayers' investment will be reclaimed. But even if it's not as quick as we all would like, the businesses and the stability within the hotels and the restaurants will pay dividends for all of us, not only in the form of taxes directed to the municipality, but back to the quality of life issue that you talked about earlier.
Absolutely. It's not going to be just as simple as, okay, we bought it for X amount of dollars, okay, and now that money's been paid back. Because it's not going to be directly coming from, say, the mortgage payment that Convention Visitors Bureau is going to be paying back Monroeville. It is all the things you mentioned, the tax revenue and the financial, the ripple effect, all the money that comes into the community, which makes our other businesses successful. And if our business community and our hospitality areas are successful in Monroeville, then the municipality will be successful. And I think that's a great investment for the community. And to speak of fund balance, you mentioned it. Yeah, over the past several years, there's really been great leadership. Your predecessor, Mr. Little, Tim Little, was really able to get the fund balance up. When I first started, we didn't have that healthy of a fund balance. And over the years, with Tim working with the department heads and the councils, over time, we've really gotten to the point where it's more of a comfortable fund balance for like what we call like a rainy day fund or a savings account. And so the $5.5 million to buy the convention center was able to be afforded through that fund balance.
Watching it from my vantage point, it was pretty impressive watching the resolve of you and the elected officials to stay the course and do this. It was not an easy decision, and I think we're all going to be better for it. Now, it's a new year, and we're in 2025. It's the last year that you serve as mayor?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm in my second term. This is my last year of my second term. Yes.
So we got a short amount of time now. What do we want to get done? What are we looking to do this year in 2025?
Well, I think a big thing, we've been talking about this for some time, is really getting our capital improvement budget put together. So capital improvement, so we have operational budget, which we just approved in December, which is the day-to-day operations. And then capital is more of those bigger ticket items, those investments. And as I mentioned before about the foundation that I think the community needs to provide or municipality needs to provide, that's where capital improvement projects come in. And maybe that is updating buildings or fixing things that maybe have been neglected for some time, investments in parks, investment at the senior center, at the library, at our public works department, all the things that kind of keep that foundation and those services we provide. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is really getting council and you and your staff to work through what are the needs of the municipality, and maybe not necessarily short-term needs, what are the long-term needs? Because we have, aging infrastructure and, buildings that are getting older, and just to try to work on the budget to make investment in those things moving forward.
Yeah, this year, this building turns 25, So if you could think of a house that was built 25 years ago, things like roofs and other kinds of systems might need to be replaced. And so whether it's windows or something, we need to be thinking about those things. And of course, I agree that the capital is big. While not a four-letter word, taxes are a word nobody likes to talk about or hear, like it's a bad word. And the council made the hard decision at the end of 2024 to raise the real estate taxes for the first time in over 10 years. And what we recognized in the process was how it lost ground with inflation and the values of properties within Monroeville and what the tax was raising. So heading into this year, we look at the capital budget, we have to really get a good handle on that. Something as purchasing a garbage truck. 5 years ago, the cost not only has increased, but the lag time between when we agree to purchase and actually see delivery. In 2024, we were ordering garbage trucks that we don't know if we'll see till the end of 2026. So, you have to really do a little bit of creative planning to be able to say, okay, I've got to agree to buy a piece of equipment now that I might not see for a couple of years, hoping that the equipment I have now can service me till the new one comes online. So, yeah, I think I agree that getting the capital budget organized and early, maybe second quarter or so, presented publicly, and what the sense of that long-term capital improvements program could be, will be very important, particularly on the back of that tax increase, that we kind of owe it to the taxpayers to be like, hey, here's what we're doing now. And it's kind of clear now because we have that income figured out, and this is where we're going to invest.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I think everybody understands things cost more money now. I mean, we see that in our own households. And sometimes people do understand the supply chain and what's available, what's not. But to your example, and that's absolutely true, what maybe people don't realize is things like a garbage truck might take a couple years, or another piece of equipment might take quite some time to get it delivered or get it installed. So that's something we have to factor in as well.
So as we wrap our time up, I want you to think back on your time of service and consider talking to maybe your younger self as you were entering into council, or somebody who might be considering, running for office. It's a tough business, and we look nationally and we see all the stuff that happens there, and even regionally what happens. What would you say to someone who's out there listening or watching, who's might be open to the idea of running for office? What should they be thinking about, and why are you glad, for example, that you served?
Well, I mean, a community, whether it's Monroeville or wherever it is, I mean, it takes a lot of help, and it takes a lot of people to make that happen. And even from a municipal standpoint, not only is there a mayor, there's 7 council members, tremendous amount of staff, but there's also people that serve on boards and commissions and authorities. So there's a lot of people, and I think that the main thing I just want to stress to people is to get involved with your community. You don't have to be in an elected position, but it's okay to do that. I mean, don't be scared of it, because we're all just neighbors here, and that's one of the things I try to, and I want people to recognize too that are in elected seats, is that, I'm a chiropractor. I know a lot about chiropractic, but I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot about police work and public works and financial planning to the degree that we have educated staff and professional staff to do so. So you really have to rely on, whether it's a school district or a municipal government, to really rely on the employees and the professional staff that you hire to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But it's really about getting involved with your community. I hate getting wrapped. I mean, federal, more so federal, and to a lesser degree state politics really it gets ugly, and it muddies what I think we do on a local level. Here I want to be more just, community person that wants to get involved. I'm an elected official. I'm not anything special. I'm no special than anyone else in Monroeville. I just happen to be the one that's sitting in the seat right now. So I try to distance myself from the state and federal politics, and just someone that wants to be involved and help out and do the best that I can do. Is there room for improvement? Always. I think that's no matter what you do in life. There's things you could do better, but I think we do a pretty good job here in Monroeville. I think this is a very good council that I get to work with daily. Getting you hired for this position, the municipal manager from Monroeville, is a very important position. So it's been great to work with you over this past year, and it was definitely something that was important. I've been through a couple of the hiring processes of getting a municipal manager hired. It's a big task to do, and we were able to do that successfully, and that's an important thing for the community. Because I always tell people locally, or at least from Monroeville, the way we're structured, there's a mayor, council members, there's a municipal manager. So the municipal manager, I would kind of equate to being like the CEO. Mm-hmm. The council is the board of directors, and I happen just to be the chairman of the board. And if we can kind of keep that in mind, we can keep that structure, and that's when we can really get things done, by working that way instead of someone doing a task that they really shouldn't be doing, and try to work as a team and get things done.
Well, I love that answer of starting with serving in the community, from the planning commission or library boards that are groups that we appoint, as the elected officials. You all appoint those people, but to the different civic groups we have, from food banks or Meals on Wheels to other community organizations, and to the chamber. There's so many ways to plug in that gives you a greater exposure to kind of how things work. Kind of jumping straight from the living room to the council chambers is such a big learning curve, but can be made smaller if you're serving in other places. So
and they're all important roles.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's job is important. Being an elected official, as they always say, it's a thankless job. It really is. But it's really about getting involved, and it's important work, and it's something that needs to be done. And if it's not you, then who is it? Yeah. So it's always great to be involved. But I think we're doing some good things here in Monroeville. We got this recent budget passed. We're going to keep working on that capital improvement project. We just got finished with our updated zoning ordinance, which I think is very important, and that's really talking about long-term planning and trying to allow that foundation for growth in the community. There were some things we changed along the business corridor. There's things we changed at the mall property to allow for more investment, and these are things we're really interested in moving forward to get done in the community and to keep this a great community that it is.
One of the things we do at Monroeville at your services and out on your town, and you and I need to do a segment out at the parks and maybe on one of our trails talking about some of those things that you've been able to be a part of as your time as mayor. But with that, I want to say thank you to you and to the other elected officials for the hard work. I see it firsthand. I see the preparation that you put in and the other council members put in to prepping for meetings and the multitude of meetings we have between meetings, one-on-one or in small groups and committees and so forth. So thank you for your service. I know after your term's over, you won't be a stranger, because as a business owner, as a neighbor, I love the way you phrase that, as a person who lives in Monroeville, you'll stay involved, and I know I'll be seeing you around, so I'm very thankful for that. But I will get you out for an Out on the Town segment sometime, so thank you, Mayor, for your time today, and look forward to having a great 2025.
I agree. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. We've had a great past year and looking forward to a great 2025.
Thank you. With that, on the way next, we'll take a look back at some of the best moments of 2024. That and the Manager's Minute on Privilege, when Monroeville at Your Service returns. Welcome back to the show. 2024 was a wonderful year for us here in Monroeville. It was a year that saw growth and achievement. Many of those aspects we've highlighted on this show, whether it be the acquisition of the convention center or something a little more fun, like one of our many community events. Here now are some of the best moments of last year as captured by our TV department.
What Monroeville is now very much has the look and feel of a suburban city.
Passing the torch to you.
To be able to show them that I care as much about Monroeville as they all do.
And it's regarding the recent news revolving around the Monroeville Convention Center.
I'm so happy to tell you that the Monroeville Convention Center is saved.
I'm happy to be hosting a reboot of a show that has been dormant for a couple of years.
When he passed away, council decided at that point to name the annual cleanup day after him.
Not only one who was shot in the line of duty, but two.
The officers acted heroically in both events. I could be more proud of them.
Memorial Day, the day that we are to remember our fallen.
My name's Alexa Katu, and I am this year's Monroeville 4th of July contest winner 2024.
We maintain 110 miles of municipal roads.
Welcome out to the parade. As we said before, you can catch it on Monroeville TV, MMTV, on Comcast, Verizon, or YouTube.
Hi, I'm Carson Berg, and we are here at the 6th Annual Monroeville Library Fun Fest.
On this edition of Monroeville at Your Service, we combine the best parts of our previous shows. It's a maze mashup, and it starts right now.
It's all about socializing and getting together with each other and sending off summer and bringing it in fall.
Happy Halloween!
In the line of fire award, in disregard of his own personal safety award, Officer Craig Hoon, Sergeant James McDonald of the Monroeville Police Department.
1, 2, 3, Friday!
You're the director of technology. We want to figure out ways to get the data to see whether we're successful. So how are we doing that? So many wonderful moments captured and a lot of fun to look back on them. I had no idea how many wonderful events were happening here in Monroeville. Great job by our TV department, which now in 2025 will be making the transition to become our communications department. It'll maintain a high level of video content production, but now there'll be a few additional platforms to watch it on. More on that as we continue to march into the new year. Looking back on my first year of service in Monroeville, I am grateful. We've made significant strides in serving our community, and leading these efforts has been a privilege. It is a privilege to replace Tim Little after his years of service as municipal manager and follow after the other managers called to serve Monroeville. Our achievements are a testament to the strength and support of our community, from our dedicated organizations and volunteers to our vibrant business community. Each of you has played a crucial role in making Monroeville a thriving economy and community. I am deeply grateful to serve alongside such skilled and dedicated elected officials and municipal employees. Your tireless efforts providing 24/7, 365 protection and service are the backbone of our community, enabling our residents and visitors to pursue their happiness. With privilege comes responsibility. And for 2025, I feel the weight of this responsibility even more. I am dedicated to continuous improvement in helping our community provide excellent services. Specifically, in 2025, we hope to improve communication, provide more transparency in budgeting, and focus on capital investments and improvements. Finally, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to serve. And with 1 year under my belt, I'm more dedicated than ever to do all I can to provide the best level of service to Monroeville and our community. Don't forget, we'll have a brand new edition of Monroeville at your service each and every month. From in-studio guests to going out on the town, showcasing our great amenities and staff, to community events. We're dedicated to shining a light on what makes Monroeville a special place, so be on the lookout for what's to come in February. That's all we have for today's show. Thanks again to Mayor Gresock for joining our show, and an extra special thanks to you for watching. I'm Alex Graziani. Until next time, be well and stay blessed.